Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of Sparks Entertainment and Art, where we talk with so many interesting people about their experience in the band or their fandom and why it means so much to them to be a fan of the band or how they express that fandom and that appreciation for the music of Ron and Russell Mael in all their incarnations. And that's what we're doing today. We are talking with Sonja Lendi, who is joining me from the Netherlands. And she is an artist. My guess is many folks who are watching are familiar with her and her work. And I've always been absolutely fascinated by her work. From the first time I saw it, it was just so evocative and so wonderful. And I couldn't wait to get her on the show. So today we have Sonja on the show, and may I say welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And I should mention the first time we met was in Boston.
It was indeed.
Yeah, and that was that was the fifth Sparks show that I saw on that tour, and it was the one that really resonated with me in many ways the most, just because they were so. It was a little smaller venue, and they were so in touch with the audience. And Russell was joking around, which he usually doesn't really do. So that was a great experience.
It was. It was my. I have to count my 10th show that tour. I did quite a few in Europe, and I had to be in New York that week for work. So I decided to add a couple of Spark shows because why not?
Why not? You can't go wrong, and that's fantastic. And uh, it's great to have you, as I mentioned. And we want to talk about two things. We want to talk about your art, and then you put on some fascinating posts about the album covers, and we had a conversation about that a little bit on Facebook. And I just thought, from your artistic perspective, it would be wonderful to hear some of your thoughts about that. But if it's okay with you, can we talk a little bit about your art and some of the great things that you've done?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I want to make sure we share some of that art with people. But first, I have a general question for you, which is what was it about Ron and Russell that inspired you uh, to continuously seek to capture them in their different incarnations?
It's partly driven by my fascination for their music. I a relatively new fan. My husband got into Sparks in 2021, and he played their music. Um, so I knew a bit about them. And then he took me to see the Sparks Brothers in the
Mm,
cinema, which was uh, an eye opener. I had heard the music, but I hadn't really listened to the music. And reading the lyrics while listening to the music, it's just, um, yeah, an experience I never had before. I've been fascinated by bands before, and I had a couple of uh, focus bands when I was in my teens, and I did a lot of drawing of those bands as well. Um, so that seems to be my mode of expression of love for a band. So I love a band, I start drawing them. And yeah, so I did this in my teens, and I started doing this in 2022 after seeing the documentary. And there's so much material to work with.
well, tell me more about that. When you say that, is it because of the way they evolved over time and their look evolved, or is it something more?
Um, it's the way their look evolved, but it's also these tiny little things that always stay the same.
Mm,
It's one's expression, for example. He's got lovely eyes, and it's nice to try and catch that, and try and catch not just their look, but their personality in a way. It's um, I mean, I like drawing something like, which is behind me, which is a pencil drawing, which took me a whole weekend to make. And the likeness is there. But on the other hand, I really like doing things where it's not photorealistic, but still captures them.
Well,
That's
that's I want to drill down a little bit on that because you said you capture not only their looks, but their personality. And I think that hits the nail on the head. In your art, you've captured a personality, or at least how we view their personality.
yeah.
And whether it's the sparkle in Ron's eye or whatever, you seem to capture that so wonderfully.
Thank you.
Do you have formal training?
No, I don't. I had a couple of art lessons in high school, but no, I did not have a formal training.
That's amazing. And why don't you share a few of your pictures that you have there?
Yeah, sure. Let me start with the ones that I grabbed off the wall. Uh, these are my favorites. So this is fossil singing, and this is the first one where I actually managed to loosen up a bit rather than just draw exactly what was there. And I really love this one, and I love the lighting in this.
How does this idea of loosening up a little bit translate into the art itself?
It translates in a way by not trying to capture every little wrinkle and nook and cranny, but trying to be bit more artistic with the portraits. And I know that from the likes on Instagram that a lot of people seem to like the photorealistic ones, and they're fun to do. I mean, if I capture, this is one I prepared earlier.
No.
This is one I did yesterday.
No, we know what era that is from.
Yeah,
I know the exact picture that is based on. So,
yeah,
yeah.
um, and yeah, it's nice to do that, but it's also nice to do something that is a bit more loose or really very abstract, like this one,
Oh my
which is
gosh.
basically just a couple
Is
of colors and a
is
bit of lines.
is that for sale by any chance?
Uh, it's still on the wall.
And it's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
So it does capture one, but there's not a lot of detail in this one. There's absolutely no detail in this one.
But the eyes, I mean, the eyes
The eyes are
speaks
still there.
they speak so
Yeah,
much, you know? They
yeah,
it's
yeah. Sometimes there are photos that they publish on their social media and that immediately grab my attention. And this is the last one. And this one always makes me smile. It's one that they posted on Valentine's Day 2 years
Mhm.
ago, I think.
Yeah.
And it's just such a lovely smile. And yeah, it was just a great present in a way.
Uh, there's something about them that has so much personality, and you just capture it in every one of these.
Yeah, it's and I've noticed that I'm I'm still growing. I if I look back at the ones that I did in 2022, um, there are things I don't like about it anymore. Um, I've practiced so much and I've looked at their faces so much, but I've also seen them on stage. And
Mhm.
yeah, obviously you've got their stage personality and their
Yeah.
personal personality, which we don't always see. That, but yeah, that is something that helps me capture them better, I think.
All right. Well, any more?
And that's yeah. Let's do this one, which is one I did for Sparks Denver, which is a
Oh my
completely
goodness. Yeah.
different type of portrait. They're still
Yeah.
there,
Oh, yeah.
but um, I do weird stuff in Sparks Denver. Last year I did skies that had a relation to their songs, and I always want to do something in the last day that takes that theme but puts it in a portrait with both Van and Russell.
And
So
what is the
this,
song that it's getting to, or the album?
I think it was My Devotion that
Oh,
I
okay.
took with this one. But last day is always a free day, so the font is just whatever.
I know it.
So,
Yeah. No.
but yeah, it's
And what about the one right behind you? Is that one that you're currently working on?
um, this one
Yeah.
on the easel. No, that is one I did a couple of years ago. It's just one that I'm so proud of, and because it's so big, it hardly ever sees the light of day. So I thought that,
Can we see it?
yeah, sure. Let me just grab it.
Ah, it is big. Yeah.
It is huge. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
it's beautiful, and it has that stark background, and that might be a good segue to talk about the album covers a little bit.
yeah, let's do
Yeah.
that.
It's clear that you appreciate the visual image that they are seeking to convey. And that obviously comes out not only in all the stagecraft and many in the videos and everything else, but on the album covers. That's the first place. So, I mean, or the first question is, before we even talk about them, is do you feel that the visual aspect is as important to the band? Not as important, but is pretty integral to what the band is about?
Uh, yes, yeah. Um, they obviously um, think about the visuals, and with every album, there is a consistent theme, which is not just on the album cover, but also in all their social media posts, the posters, the T-shirts, and it all comes together. It's always a big
So
thing.
you're not referring to the theme of the album, which may or may, which may or may not be there. You're
Yeah,
talking about the theme
if
of
we're
the
talking
visual presentation.
the visual presentation, it feels like a lot of times the album cover does take elements of what is on the album. I mean, if you talk about Womp That Soccer or The Girls Crying in the Latte, it's a very literal translation. Um, if you look at um, propaganda, for example, it's a lot less clear what is how the art relates to the songs on the album, which is perfectly fine.
Hmm.
It's a great cover art and it works really well. Um, does it really have a deep connection with the songs?
Hmm.
I am struggling to find that.
Yeah. No, I think that's reasonable. Sometimes it does more than other times. Little Beethoven, they wanted to feature Little Beethoven. So
Yeah.
that was a simple one. But that's a very stark album cover. There's really nothing there but that image. And that was an observation that came from that was an observation I had when I first saw your posts about the album covers, which is that the ones that you showed on that post were all ones that had very stark backgrounds. They didn't really have any picture, like besides them, like "Angst in My Pants" or in a few of the others that suggest
Yeah.
themselves. Uh, and my first question to you is, do you have a specific appeal for that style? But your answer was not necessarily.
Not necessarily. I have ADHD, and my brain is sometimes a complete chaos, um, which makes me want to have tidiness around me. So my surroundings need to be tidy and clean,
Mm-hmm.
um, to counteract the chaos that is in my brain. So yeah, it's probably part of that. An album cover like, I don't know, indiscreet or there's so much going on. It it feels a bit too much like my brain,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak.
Oh,
So yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
so it's perhaps that.
Why do you think they sometimes go with those very stark covers? And there's a few examples.
Yeah, that's introducing and mad, and they seem
Mad
to
is a great
come.
example. Yeah.
They really come seem to come back to those very clean looking
Mm-hmm.
ones, and it, I don't know, perhaps it's sort of a theme that runs through them. Um, I think we should ask Ron. I think he's the main man. There's one cover I'd like to discuss, and that's the one that I put at the bottom of my list in that Facebook post, which is The Girl is Crying in a Latte. And that is one where there's an obvious link to at least one song or two songs
Sure.
on the album. We've got I've got it here. Um, that,
But that one
that
doesn't work for you.
it doesn't work for me. I'm not quite sure what it is. There's a lot of elements that are really fun. You've got the dark-haired Veronica Lake crying in a latte, Ron and Russell in the background being sort of oblivious. What I also like is these dots at the top, which seem to reflect um, the pattern, tile pattern of Terminal Jive.
You
This,
think so?
so it's just a couple of things that, yeah, just draw back to things that they've done before. The makeup of the girl and that 7-inch cover of uh, this number one song in heaven from the plagiarism era.
So let me ask you this. What I found so interesting about that album cover as I looked at it was that neither of them are front and center and neither of them are even looking at the camera.
Yeah, it is an interesting cover, and the composition is really interesting. I, I don't know. It's something about the way that that lady is put in there. She's slightly out of focus. Her hair seems a bit artificial,
Mm-hmm.
like it isn't her real hair. It's obviously in um, Veronica Lake type of hairdo, covering one of her eyes. But for some reason, I think it's that bit that doesn't work for me, rather than the cover as a whole. The rest of the cover, the colors, it's a good cover. It's just that one person that bothers me.
Well, it's so rare to have a different person front and center on a Sparks cover.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah. Are there a couple others that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, shall we go through the top five?
We can. Yeah.
Steady drip, drip, drip. I really love the story that's happening here with Ron being dripped on, and yeah, it I like the fact that it's drawing back to in outer space where Ron is being hit by cake and completely covered in cream, and it's basically the same cover,
I guess you could say that. Yeah.
which is something I didn't realize until I made my Spark Temple posts. I've got an example here. Um, these are
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
they are the same cover.
One in the first one it's pies, and the second one it's wax or
Yeah,
something, whatever that is. Yeah.
or paint or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's yeah, it's really funny that to see that they're drawing back on all the themes um, to use in the new cover art.
Well, it's very interesting that you would say that. What I don't like, and this is weird, but I guess I have a little after all these years of being a fan since the '70s, and I guess I have a little bit of like a protective almost instinct, which is really strange and totally on makes no sense. But when they do covers where one of them is like shown to be like in a better position than the other, I always bristle at that. So I that's why all the two that you just mentioned aren't among my favorites, even though they're fine covers, but also something like pulling rabbits, which is a cool picture, but I don't like it. I don't like I like them to be both there and appreciated for their amazing contributions. Isn't that silly?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. You've got that same theme in Exotic Creatures of the Deep with that uh, chimpanzee replacing either one or Russell, depending on which side
Yeah,
of the cover you look at.
yeah. That one is equal, so it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, at least they've got it equal. But yeah, it's I don't know. It is one playing with the fact that Russell is just doing what he says he needs to do.
Well, I mean, there's the My Way video, where you can see Ron is the one who's doing all the work, and Russell's up there getting all the
All the
adulation and credit.
attention, yes.
My all-time favorite Sparks video, I should add.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm going to give you my number 5. And this
yeah,
is going to surprise you, maybe. It's going all the way back. This is the Half Nelson cover, which maybe it doesn't technically count, but I'm going to count it. It was right away, you could see that they had a sense of creating a situation, of the graphic importance, of something that's a little striking. All the bands looking at the model in the Oldsmobile, and it's just a picture of what are they doing, and and I think that's part of why the record sold millions of copies, because everybody's attention was drawn to the picture.
yeah.
I'm just kidding, of course, but yeah, but I
Yeah.
always think, yeah.
I prefer this cover to the Sparks cover of that same album,
Well, that's
which is
such an interesting thought, isn't it? Because they went
yeah,
to the complete opposite direction. Here we are, brick wall.
brick
Yeah.
wall.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's it. But so I think that part of the reason I love that is it goes right to the earliest days of the band. Everything was being established on their first album, in my opinion. So,
yeah.
yeah. But that's another story. Okay. How about your number 4?
Picky.
Oh, there it is. A good start background.
I I have a soft spot for this album as a whole. I, yeah, I this was also the first record I bought. I had everything on a lot of it on CD, but this
Mhm.
was the first actual record I bought. And And yeah, it's a great visual back cover as well, by the way.
What are they trying to convey with Ron's looking in Russell's direction like that?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Is this going back to them not being equal again? I don't know.
No, that's an interesting thought. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that one is not in my top five, but I like it. I like it. But I'm going to go to a classic, which is the indiscreet cover. I guess I
Mm.
like the funny situations. I guess
It,
we kind of have a different perspective, don't we?
yeah,
Yeah.
it is a really funny situation, and it makes you wonder what the heck is going on.
Well, that's what
Um,
they did with this record. They made people wonder
yeah,
what the heck is going on.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's so weird. It's such a strange situation, and
it is.
it is a great cover, and it draws people's attention, and
Yeah.
yeah, can't fault them for that.
Yeah,
It's
no, and it's just so out there, what is going on. So
yeah,
yeah, got a soft spot in my heart for it. Um,
yeah.
okay, you go. Three.
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 It oh, it's a heavy one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the most recent one. Um, I've I've got the deluxe version, as you can see, so
Yeah.
it doesn't have the big mad on the cover, but it does have it on the inside.
And on the
Um,
t-shirt I got from that tour, yeah.
yeah,
Now I know where it's from. You're right. They tied it. I didn't realize that that was the inside of the deluxe version. So there is a lot of tie-in between all the merchandise and everything.
yeah, and makes you wonder whether they deliberately had that space reserved for the Madder picture disc in there because it fits perfectly.
Yeah, I heard them say, or I saw that they said once, well, we had some time between tour dates, so we recorded these four songs, but I never bought that. I never,
No,
no,
they obviously had that
yeah.
ready to go.
But so you like that one? See, to me, it seems like, well, they just stood there in front of a blue scrim.
Yeah, but I think it fits. Uh, it like I said, it's basically the same cover as Kimono, but,
Right. But them,
but instead of the girls, it's them.
well, you got to admire Kimono to put out an album at that stage of their career that doesn't even have their name or faces on the cover
Or the title.
or the title. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. So I'm going to give the fans their favorite. How can you go wrong with this cover?
yeah. It's a beautiful cover, and I love all the other pictures with
Yeah.
them that
Yeah.
telling that story of the abduction, making you wonder what did they do wrong? Who did they annoy that they needed to be abducted?
How did they pick that theme? Yeah.
Yeah,
So happy to give propaganda. It's props. I mean, it is a great cover. So
yeah.
all right. Number two.
Number two,
Number two.
it had to be
Of
this one,
course.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is one, and Russell. It's a stark background. It's a slightly different situation with Ron in his beautiful wedding dress, uh, Russell in his sparkly suit. But yeah, it's really striking, and it's yeah, I really love that cover. It really speaks to me in some
I
way,
agree.
and
I agree. How can you beat that? I mean, if there's a cover that speaks to the music in the album, antiseptic, a little bit mysterious and different. They're not even on it.
they're not
What's
even
going
on
on
it.
in there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've got all these the scientific equipment. I think there's a microscope on there, and yeah, that sort of ties in with the electronic element, which is
Yep.
very new at that time. So it's
Mhm.
cutting edge and cutting edge science, cutting edge. Yeah, I see that how that ties in with each other.
It's such a striking cover, and it also had appeal to me as a 19-year-old, but that's probably not the discussion we're having here. Um, but one thing that I do not claim to be the one who first pointed this out, I can't, it might have been Paul Barrett, it might have been someone else, but the way number one in heaven, or first of all, it's almost not even there on the cover. It's in tiny letters on the top. But the way it's written is not number one in heaven, it's no one in heaven. And I've always found that a really interesting observation, and I have no idea what it means.
That is an interesting one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's, and why is it written so small? It's they're
They, they,
fascinating. Go ahead.
they do have the tendency to have very small lettering. I mean, you've got the same in an angst. It isn't that big. Um, and pulling rabbits, the letters themselves
Yeah.
are relatively small, and that just seem to be just randomly on the cover in this diagonal. So it's, yeah, I haven't thought about it. It's like they don't want to draw attention to the title of the album. Mad is the obvious exception, apart from the
There's a
deluxe
couple other
version.
interior design. There's a couple exceptions, sure.
Yeah, but yeah, Mad is very striking. With it's just that word if you in most of the editions.
But another one where the title is actually very small is Balls. You have that
Yes, yeah,
huge orb, and then you have on top.
balls. Yeah, and I that and Little Beethoven, the two are extremely minimalist.
Yeah, very
Little
minimal.
Beethoven is white with that little picture in the corner of that man, and
Yeah,
then
they're big.
Waltz is just this big, well, in my case, silver circle. Um, but yeah, it's very minimalist. And for Little Beethoven, it really fits the music as well.
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah, yeah.
it,
He has that sly little smile, which they kind of have throughout the whole album.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I think we're at number one,
we're at number one, and
of course.
it's Kimono,
Yeah.
the album where the title is on the back of the cover, and it's just these two beautiful ladies doing weird stuff. But yeah, um, really beautiful. Love the photography. Um, yeah, just
Well, it's brilliant. I agree with you, and it would be right up there for me also. Another one, which I'm going to give an honorable mention to, because I don't actually have the physical album of it, is Hippopotamus.
yes.
Yeah,
That is one of those funny ones.
it's
Where
funny, but it's suggestive too, isn't it?
yeah, just the confusion um, that it brings. Yeah, that is seems to be a theme in the island years as well, with propaganda and indiscreet, where you see something happening, but you have no idea what's going on.
Right, right, right. All right, I'm going to give you my number one, and it's going to surprise you, I'll bet.
Okay,
You
I'm
ready?
curious. Yep.
Music that you can dance to.
Oh yes.
I
Yeah.
just love that portrait. A little
That
dark,
is.
but it's
Yeah.
just a beautiful, and the pictures on the back are beautiful, and to me, it's just always struck me as something very special and really captured them. like the inside sleeve of Number One in Heaven, where they're kind of stuck between all that electronics, and the electronics are kind of coming in on them. That's to me a great picture too. And this one, there they are at work doing something. I don't know how to describe it, but you can see that there's something to it, which I can't quite put my finger on. Maybe you can.
It's the high contrast. You really can't see Russell's face. There's a bit more with Ron, but it's a striking silhouette with the backlighting. It's an amazing cover.
It is. It is. And since the album is sometimes kind of dismissed, maybe people don't think about the cover as much. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah. Wrongly dismissed, like Big Beat.
Yes.
So, but there's Russell front and set right there on the back cover.
Yeah.
But it's to me that's. Please go ahead.
It's funny. Yeah, I'm going back to this one, which is
yes,
the back cover of Latte, which is just silhouettes as well. Is Ron wearing a hat? No, he's not wearing a hat. He's just reading something. Which is, I mean, there's only so much you can do with photographs, but I like the fact that silhouette theme comes back again. Yeah.
Well, I'll give you the one that I would have mentioned, but it's kind of disingenuous way of sneaking in an extra one. So, but how can you not love that one?
Bump that sucker, yeah.
Just so silly.
It's very silly, and I love the colors and the composition of that, and this humongous boxing glove that draws all the attention.
It's strange. So, all right. Well, this has been such a fun talk. Anything else you want to just say as a last word coming from that amazing artistic perspective that you bring to this?
They're a big source of inspiration for me. And and I really need to thank them for bringing art back into my life, because it had gone for quite a while.
Well, that's a beautiful thought. And so we'll leave it there. And I will just say thank you so much for joining me. This has been such a fun conversation, and it's a topic that probably could be explored for hours and hours. I mean, there's so much to it. The whole visual presentation of the band is so integral to what they're about, and looking at the album covers in a little bit of depth, certainly worth doing. And you really brought out a lot. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. A really fun conversation.
Well, thank you. And to everyone who watched, I hope you enjoyed this show. I certainly did. And you can hit that old subscribe button anytime. Never hurts. Always a good thing. But in the meantime, I will say thank you for watching, and see you soon with a brand new episode. Bye-bye, everybody.